much, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague from Misamis, Occidental. Well, first of all, Mr. Speaker, I would like to congratulate our colleague from Misamis, Occidental for what I consider one of the bravest privileged speeches I've heard in the House of Representatives. And you and I, Mr. Speaker, have been here for quite a long time. The reason why I said this is quite brave is we are all aware of the history of the Kuratong Baleleng, and I think they go back as early as 1986, when it was formed as a group, supposed to be an anti-communist group formed by the military, and then later it deteriorated into an outlaw group, similar to how it would normally happen, but only here in the Philippines and in other countries. And the reason I consider this a very brave move on the part of the colleague from Misamis Occidental is because right then he has to go home and he has to deal with this problem, which is a problem that has long been existing in his home province, Mr. Speaker. So at this stage, I'd like to reiterate my congratulations to our colleague. My first question is it correct to say that the Kuratong Baleleng gang that our distinguished colleague from Misamis Occidental is referring to is the same Kuratong Baleleng gang that hit the headlines in 1999 when they were wrapped out over here in the Quezon City area after being captured in the Paranaque area? Is this the same gang associated with the original Roilo back in 1986, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, that's definitely correct. The Kuratong Baleleng that existed during the 1980s, the same Kuratong Baleleng that is operating currently. In fact, if we can see into the lineup of the Kuratong Baleleng, the Kuratong Baleleng is now in its third generation. To recall, way back 1980s, the Kuratong Baleleng was founded by the father of the former Mayor Loreto. And after he died, the next generation, the former Mayor Loreto took over. And now he is still in the helm of the Kuratong Baleleng. Yes, Mr. Speaker, the same Kuratong Baleleng we were talking about in the 1980s up to the present. And before that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say thank you also to our distinguished colleague, Roilo Golez, for those generous remarks. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, may I also know whether this Roilo who was slain somewhere in Metro Manila, I remember years back, there was a Roilo slain in Metro Manila, and I do remember that he was an incumbent local official in Misamis Occidental at that time. Was this Roilo associated with the same Kuratong Baleleng gang referred to by our distinguished colleague?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Our distinguished Roilo Golez is referring to board member Roilo. Was one of the big leaders of the Kuratong Baleleng, and he was suspected that that his death was also a drug dispute among drug syndicates operating. Yes, Mr. Speaker, the same. He's the younger brother of Roilo.
I remember meeting one time a local official from Misamis Occidental. I do not recall now whether this is the guy who was slain, maybe another one, because I understand that this is quite a big group now, all surnamed Roilo. This Roilo, was he a stocky fellow? Muscular, stocky?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. He's a stocky fellow. Stands about 5'8" tall, and has a weight of about more or less 90 to 95 kilos.
Maybe about 180 pounds. Now, yes. Mr. Speaker, it's very fortunate that our colleague from Misamis Occidental has brought this back to the limelight. And while this may appear to be a local problem, this, Mr. Speaker, should be handled as a national problem because of the way it has its tentacles has spread already, not only in terms of the number of gang members, its geographical scope, but also the illegal activities that are being engaged in by this gang, including drug dealing, kidnap for ransom, murder, etc., etc. And I think this is something that must be brought right on the desk of both the Secretary of the DILG and the newly, well, not really newly appointed, but recently appointed Chief of the Philippine National Police, Police Director General Bartolome. May I know from our colleague whether there is already a task force Kuratong Baleleng that has been specially organized to address the Kuratong Baleleng challenge to the national government. I say challenge to the national government because when this case is pestering, I will proceed to this challenge to the national government.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, this humble representation made some communications to the Philippine National Police, urging them to attend to the Kuratong Baleleng threats. And because of that, Camp created what they call Task Force Lion. Whose sole objective, sole mission is to dismantle the organized Kuratong Baleleng. After Task Force Lion made considerable failure to a certain degree, another task force, it is called to another task force which we call Task Force Stronghold. Fortunately, 5 of our congressmen here has opposed the creation of Task Force Stronghold because this organization encompasses some parts of Land and our congressmen in Land have opposed the creation of Task Force Stronghold for the reason that it destroys the image of Land. And for that matter, we signed 5 of us, 2 congressmen from Misamis, Occidental, and 3 congressmen from Land signed for the abolition of Task Force Stronghold. As of this moment, Mr. Speaker, we are still awaiting action from Cong, the final solution as to the request of the congressman for the dissolution of this task force.
But may we know from our colleague from Misamis Occidental whether this task force is effective and whether it's able to achieve some success in neutralizing the Kuratong Baleleng gang.
Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, Task Force Stronghold failed to a certain degree. That is why, repeatedly I will say that the 5 congressmen wanted this Task Force Stronghold to be abolished, but to be replaced with a new task force, complete with resources, with clarity of mission, with close coordination among other security apparatus operating in the province. As of this moment, Mr. Speaker, we cannot see any action yet from Camp.
Now, considering the apparent firepower and scope, including the geographical scope of this gang, would you think this will also need the support of the armed forces of the Philippines?
Yes, definitely, Mr. Speaker. That is why I said in my privilege speech that the concern or the issue of the Kuratong Baleleng must be elevated as a national security concern. In that manner, all the military apparatus in the world, including the Philippine Army, all the branches of the armed forces will be joined together because the threat and the scope of operation of the Kuratong Baleleng is not only confined in Misamis Occidental, nor in Misamis City, but throughout the whole country.
Mr. Speaker, one final question just for some graphical clarity. I remember I was in Misamis Occidental one time. This was in the early 90s. And a friend of mine, a well-informed friend of mine, occupying a key position, not a key community position in the province, in the city of Misamis, pointed to me a cluster of houses. If you're facing, you're standing on the Pantalan and you're facing inward into landward, he pointed at a cluster of houses to the left, and he said that that was the layer of the Kuratong Baleleng at that time. May I know if that's still geographically correct?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. The slum area called Loreto is still existing. It is now the nest. It is now the fortress of the Roilo Golez. And, ironically, the barangay captain now in that place is the former mayor of Misamis City, former mayor Aldo Roilo. That is why there's a big mystery surrounding this particular place. Because the drug lords and the robbers and all these criminal elements are having present recreation in that place called Loreto. He enjoyed political protection, no less than the barangay captain, who is the former mayor of Misamis City, and now the daughter, the current mayor of Misamis City, Nova Princess.
And is he also receiving mass-based support, distinguished colleague from Misamis Occidental?
No.
In other words, when I say mass-based, would it be difficult for the police to penetrate that layer in a clean-up drive because of the support of the mass-based level?
Mr. Speaker, police operation can only be successful in that area if there is an overwhelming force, if it is being held or coordinated with the Philippine Army. That is why the local police force alone cannot do it, neither the regional force alone can do it. Because of the magnitude, because of the inherent physical environment within the slum area, it's very difficult for a small-scale operation. It should be a large-scale operation involving so many troops.
And the government has not tried this option, Mr. Speaker.
Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, there is no coherent mission or organization that attend to this particular problem.
In that case, Mr. Speaker, I join the distinguished colleague, Congressman Ocampos from Misamis Occidental in making this appeal. And I think the House, considering that this is a major public order issue, the House should, in the end, come out with a resolution directing or expressing the sense of the House, urging the Philippine National Police and the Police Director General Bartolome to take a direct hand here and address in the most frontal way this issue of the Kuratong Baleleng. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I would like to reiterate my congratulations to our colleague from Misamis Occidental. I think he needs help, and I'd like to reiterate this is one of the bravest privilege speeches I've heard in my long years in the House of Representatives.
Mr. Speaker, I would like also to say thank you to our distinguished colleague, Roilo Golez, for those generous remarks. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Remarks noted, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Ocampos as well as the interpellation to the appropriate committee.
In objection, elegant section.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Emmy De Jesus of Party List Gabriela.
Who? Speak loud.